Comedy. Comedy is one of the most popular mediums of entertainment in existence, yet it is also one of the hardest to master. This is because the concept of humor can be entirely subjective, meaning it is difficult for one to create something that is seen as humorous to a large group of people. That is why there is only a select few people that can perform comedy correctly. If you ask a random stranger on the street who their favorite comedian is, they will probably say something along the lines of "Do I know you?" or "Get the hell away from me." But the few that do answer will say the same people every time. Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Adam Sandler. These are people who have done very well in their careers and have gotten fame because of it. But none have completely perfected the concept of comedy, except one. This man is none other than Andrew Byron Batchelor, better known for his Vine name, King Batch. This absolute comedic genius has completely understood what makes something funny, and has been able to make content that is not just funny for some people, but everyone. Through Vine, King Batch has made cinematic masterpiece after cinematic masterpiece, including his breakout hits, Only a Spoonful, and When You Save a Pair of Jordan. But his best creation of all time, in my opinion, has to be the Oscar-nominated classic, Yeah, But That Backflip Though. In just mere 5 seconds, King Batch is able to tell an entire story. They say every picture tells 1,000 words. And that is more than true with every single frame of this absolute perfect piece of filmography. If some of you watching have not been graced with the opportunity for your eyes to feast on this experience, I will now play the video in its entirety.
Help me, purse! I'll save you! Woohoo! He's already gone! Yeah, but that backflip though.
Did you feel that? That's the feeling of chills traveling down your entire spine, which is experienced by everyone who watches this for the first time. Now I understand that we may have some viewers of lower intelligence in the audience, so I do my best to articulate the process of how King Batch manipulates the concept of comedy to his will to create a brief yet meaningful experience. Let's start from the absolute first frame. The first thing we notice is a blonde-haired woman wearing a gray shirt with a colorful design on the front, and two-toned shorts with separate shades of blue, possibly representing the divide between good and bad, which we will cover more later. She is also holding a purse, which is not immediately apparent as important to the plot, but will be very soon after. This is an example of foreshadowing, because this purse is shown before the main event. After seeing the woman, we see a mysterious figure running behind her. The identity of this person is not clear because their face is hidden behind a hood, and they are running so fast that it is difficult to find any small features to identify this person. All we know is that they are wearing a gray hoodie with salmon-colored shorts, possibly cargo shorts, and black shoes with white tips, again showing the contrast between good and bad. Their right hand is immediately shown touching the purse from the very first frame, meaning we can immediately infer the purse will be stolen through in-depth analysis. The mysterious person is also running away from the direction of what seems to be a dark underground parking garage, possibly representing how problems in your life can come from out of a dark place. Already, from the very first frame, we have two characters introduced in the story. We don't need to know their names or anything about them, we just need to know their position in the story. The blonde-haired woman is the victim, and the mysterious person in the hoodie is the antagonist. Let us fast forward a bit so that we are approaching the first second mark of the video. The blonde-haired woman speaks the first line of the video, "Help, my purse." This is a verbal representation of a cry for help, meaning she is in need of a third character to take back her purse. Luckily, as soon as she is finishing her sentence, a man appears in frame running towards the scene of the crime. There's nothing distinct about the man, because he is only wearing what initially seems to be a white shirt, black or navy colored pants, and red shoes. If you're wondering why his choice of clothes is so generic, that is because this is an intentional design decision. This man, played by King Batch, is supposed to represent you, the protagonist, and he's wearing plain clothes on purpose so that anyone can see themselves in that position regardless of your choice of style. With just over 1 second of video elapsed so far, and 3 characters already being introduced, you can really see how King Bash's genius can create such a deep storyline. Anyways, immediately after the woman finishes her sentence, King Bash responds with, "I'll save you," which reassures the audience that he is on his way to capture the antagonist, and gives you the expectation that this will be his next action. However, instead of running into the sidewalk towards our antagonist, he runs straight towards the wall and runs up it, performing a perfect backflip with all the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. This is King Bash's first performance of comedy, and he achieves this through a subversion of expectations. Both the viewer and the woman expected King Bash to chase after the antagonist, but instead performing the backflip proved otherwise. This achieves a sense of shock value to the viewers and changes their view on the genre of the video from crime-solving to comedy. Shocked by King Bash's actions, the woman points towards where the antagonist has ran from the scene and yells, "He's already gone," showing that the woman's understood that King Bash is not going to try to get her purse back. This is when fourth wall breaking comes into play. King Bash immediately turns facing towards the camera, showing he's aware of the audience's existence, and adding another layer to this complex series of events. In this scene, he directly tells the audience, "Yeah, but that backflip though," which is his second performance of comedy. This is once again humorous because the focus of the video seemed to be on the antagonist stealing the purse, but instead King Bash wants you to focus on a sick backflip. This subverts audiences' expectations again, which proves King Bash's genuine talent at the art of comedy. But this still doesn't answer your question. The title of this video describes some sort of hidden meaning behind the video. That is why I made this video to answer, and I have spent month after month trying to find the answer. Sure, on the surface this is an hilarious comedy sketch that is just as funny, if not more funny, than any of King Bash's masterpieces. But I knew there had to be something more. King Bash is just too advanced in his craft to settle for a simple comedy sketch. No, there had to be so much more behind the surface. So I kept digging and scouring every single frame for many more weeks, and I found a few things. Right on either side of the wall where King Bash performs his epic backflip, there are 2 yellow poles. Now any simple-minded fellow would look at this and say they are meant for the parking garage, but they are much more than that. They are divided between different options. Left of the left pole represents the choice to run to the sidewalk and chase after the mysterious thief, and possibly capturing them to return the purse to its original owner. Between the 2 poles represents the backflip off the wall, and going with this option means you will not save the purse, but you will still pull off that really cool backflip. The option right of the right pole is one that is not explained very much in this video. The only guess I have to what this option could be assumes my previous analysis that the parking garage represents how problems can come from an evil dark place. This means that choosing right of the pole represents giving in to the evil, which can mean any number of results. A guess I have is that King Bash would team up with the purse thief and either help the thief escape or hold off the woman who got her purse stolen. This reference to the darkness and evil, contrasting with the good options, relates back to the 2-tone clothing that we covered earlier. Now obviously these 3 options won't always be presented to you in the way this video shows, but rather you can apply the metaphor of the choices to decisions in your own life. Through more careful frame-by-frame analysis, I noticed another detail. Above the wall where King Bash performed the backflip is there no right turn sign. If we assume my previous assumptions about the yellow poles are correct, this side is representing that we can never take the dark and evil choice in this scenario. This means that instead of 3 different choices we can decide from, there are only 2, chasing after the thief and the backflip. In our lives, chasing after the thief represents helping others, because you are deciding to get the woman's purse back with no personal gain of your own. And doing the backflip represents helping yourself, because you are going to do the backflip, but aren't able to get back the woman's purse. After this realization, only one question remains. What is the moral of this scenario? We know that King Bash does not want us to turn darkness, but does he want us to chase a thief, or does he want us to do a backflip? This question was the hardest one of all for me to solve. I thought the answer would be complex, but the answer is actually very simple. There isn't an answer at all. There isn't an answer at all. The most important fact about life is not black and white enough for only one answer to always be the correct choice. The correct choice will always depend on each and every scenario of your life. There are times where you should help other people and times where you should care for yourself. If you care for others too much, you forget about your own health. If you care for yourself too much, you forget about how other people will feel. King Batch is telling us that there is a balance, a perfect harmony between light and dark. This is what he's been telling us the entire time, through the two-tone clothing and the dark parking garage versus the bright outside world. It all makes sense now. I am truly honored to be the one to bring King Batch's true meaning of this video into the world. Thank you for watching.